See what I got real quick. We're going to talk about it. We're going to get this thing live for you. I got a real good question when I get this thing back on, so we're going to see what we get. We're going to see what we get. We're going to find out what we get. So we're going to do it. Get this thing up. Create a highlight. Okay, we are live. We are on live right now. If you can hear me, you're on. Say what's up, what's up, what's up. So, took me a minute to get everything back, but I am back now. Yeah, the question is pretty simple. Did the Michael Jackson film change your opinion about him as an artist? And I think overwhelmingly a lot of people have responded. Obviously, the movie's huge. Let me come on live. The film is huge. There's gonna be a part two, and it's doing crazy business. And his musical genius, his greatness is being front and center, which is supposed to. Jafar did a fantastic job. The music speaks for itself, history in the making, etc., 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 etc. Hello, how you doing? Welcome aboard. Thank you for coming through. Tell me where you're coming from, and glad to have you on board. Yeah, the question is pretty simple today. Did the Michael Jackson film change your opinion about him as an artist? And did it make you more of a fan? And it seems to be overwhelming that because, it's one of those situations where people have definitely resonated quite highly. I'm one of those kind of people, I thought that most people already had heard so much of his music because he sold so many records, but then this is a whole different conglomerate. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I like the video. Some more people are coming. Well, thank you so much. I welcome more people to come. I appreciate it. And thank you for being here. Tell me where you're coming from today, if you don't mind, or wherever. But I welcome it though. Um, when you think about his artistry for decades, the impact, the depth, the magnitude, he got it right. He got it right. Some people say, well, there's only something, you only got to put out a whole lot of music to hit. If you connect the right way, people be feeling you the right way. He connected the right way. It's all about the right balance of your, showcasing your talent, and doing what comes naturally and how it's supposed to be. So there's a lot to surmise, a lot. So I think that that's a cool thing. So appreciate everybody coming through. And yeah, we are live here today. It is Friday afternoon, morning, or night, wherever you are. Maybe it's early Saturday. I don't know where you are, but wherever you are in the world, thank you. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Good to see you. I know when you come on, there's definitely going to be on for a minute. So glad you are here. And whatever your questions are, feel free. Thank you. Thank you. And we are here today. For people who follow me on a regular, I'll be back on Sunday, probably around this time. So for the regulars that are here, I'll be here on Sunday. Yeah. Oh yeah. They're drawing it up. They got 30% already done because they already shot extra in the can. So they're just gonna like add parts and pieces. I already heard that Warner Brothers is gonna have Ed Sheeran, Madonna, Aretha Franklin, and some other stuff. They're gonna try all these biopics. Cause you know monkey see, monkey do. But I'm gonna let you on a secret. There's only one Michael. And these biopics are tricky. They're not like what you think. The Queen one hit at the right time, and the Elton John one was good. But this Michael thing is on a whole nother level. The Whitney one tanked. I ain't have the right vibe. And Aretha was decent. Didn't have no engine. Oh, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you on board. Thank you. How you doing today? Always glad to see people come from all over the world. And thank you for being here. Netherlands. I got a cousin that lives there. She and her husband live there. She used to live in Jersey. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on through. I used to call it the Neverlands. I be thinking about Michael Jackson because Netherlands seems so far away until you get to Europe, and then you get to Europe, then it's not as far. But in another country, another world, that seems like a whole lifetime ago. So yes. But thank you for coming on through. Glad to have people coming through. And got a lot in store for when people come through. And if we get enough views and clicks and donations, etc., I can do more live streams. So again, for everybody who supports the channel, thank you, and how you come through, and then give suggestions. And then of course I will have special memberships for people that constantly come through. So just throwing a little bit out there, but I appreciate everybody that's here today though. And it's always good to see people coming in. I remember you no matter where I'm at. I don't look at it life like that. I already feel big as a soul because I'm a blessed soul. And I'm better because I have people like yourself that come to this channel. So it's already big. Now when people say big, they got this fortune cookie or this teller like somehow this is gonna matric, mature, it blows up. Well, either way, you're cool all the way. Anyone that comes through and support, I don't forget nothing. I don't forget nothing. I'm appreciative and I stay humble about it. What's happening, Charlene? Hi, good to see you. Good to see you. Because I remember what it's like, and I know what it's like to go through things where people. That's a good question. So after Jordan retired, Carmelo got a couple of years. You can debate that. Okay, okay. Um, but Shaq was the first time that a guy who was great, they said, oh, he could have got it any other time. Then years later, they said, well, him and Kobe knocked each other off. They didn't. They just didn't give it to Shaq multiple times. They did it to Tim Duncan. Steve Nash made it a popularity contest if you want to go that route. His was the first polarizing situation. And then after that, it's been subjective because LeBron could have gotten multiple ones. Shaq was the first one that came up with it. He didn't get multiple ones. So that's where Steve Nash was the turning point. There you go. I say that because this is new fanfare for his popularity. I mean, he's streaming like crazy. Billie Jean #1 song and one album. It definitely been an impact pull from the movie. It's been huge. It's been huge. Yeah, you go around with people playing Michael Jackson like crazy. I went to the movies. I seen the film 3 times, And I seen people coming out with shirts and representation. So yes, please do hit that live button up. I appreciate it. The more support, the better. I appreciate it. That way you let them know to the algorithms that if you come in here live, you know where you are. And in that way, it's all good. And then we can keep on progressing and hitting this thing up properly. Because that way I'll be on more different spots. And I am on various forums too, but this is the main one as far as doing the live stream. So that's what we got going on. He it's the thing. It's like when you see how everything is going. Well, it wasn't because actually his father didn't see it the first time. I think it was actually Jermaine or Randy that actually saw him, but they used that for dramatic effects. Remember, they manipulate. What actually happened is that he had a fall and he had hurt himself, and that's what actually happened the first time. The first time was an accident. It wasn't like that. But he did get teased within his family in the house about how he looked. And you a little black boy with African features, and you come out during the civil rights movement, talent, lack of talent, because he ain't no Michael Jackson. He need a whole lot of work. He can dance, but he's got some charisma, but that's it. His songs is corny. He doesn't have any pop in his voice. He doesn't have anyone who gives him direction. And having talent being the next Michael Jackson is like night and day, okay? He's nowhere near Michael Jackson. Nowhere near. Nowhere near. Nowhere, no how, no way. His talent is marginal. Let me let you on a secret. If he was coming up back in the day, he'd be about like a tier below Bobby Brown. Okay? That's what he would be. Because the standards are so low now that they can take somebody who dances a little bit, sing a little bit, and say, "Oh, you the next this." And people who don't know no better will believe it. The ones who do know better are bought and paid off, and they're stupid. I can tell you what it was like. I can tell you. You want to know? You don't know? You want to know? If you want to know, give me a one. If you don't want to know, give me a two. I'll tell you what it was like. Because I saw, and ain't been nothing like it since. Not even close. Depends on how old you are, too. See, because the other, like, I can tell you like this. If you're a big sports fan, if you're a big sports fan, okay, if you're a big sports fan, you remember when Tiger Woods was dominant. What's happening? How you doing? What's happening? You remember when Tiger Woods was dominant, right? That was like, and ironically, Jafar is more of a golfer than he was a musician because he actually started playing golf before he got his music going. Jafar is rumored to be playing Tiger Woods in the movie. That's kind of what it was like. If you remember how Tiger Woods dominated, that kind of sensation, that kind of hoopla, that's kind of what it was like. Yeah, yeah. That's kind of what it, but that still don't do Michael Jackson full justice. But that's a half of it when Tiger won all them slams and he was dominating, and that was one of the things that I saw. Um, Thank you very much. When you're competing against yourself on the charts, and we're talking black and white, and he was dominant so much that he had songs going against him. He was competing. He was battling, you know, unreal. Go out into the street. And I remember at the Motel 25. I went to the bus stop the next day. Cats was moonwalking. You could see saw the marks all on the streets on the rocks. Thank you so much. This is what I'm talking about. You to see it up close was surreal. I had a Viewmaster Topps baseball cards from Michael Jackson. There were folders. It was everything. An album that had that took the whole world by storm. He literally had the industry at the palm of his hands. He literally was like him and everybody else. I kid you not. There was no answer because he was dominant. See, when I use that term, let me tell you something. You hear that term in sports used about Wilt Chamberlain, Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, right? You don't usually hear that about a musical artist. You can make that case for Stevie Wonder with his 70s dominance on albums. But even that wasn't like the Thriller dominance. That wasn't like that. This guy had radio on lock, black and white. People in different countries, I know who couldn't even speak English. They knew Michael Jackson. That's all they knew. You couldn't even imagine. You think this is something? Everybody, the people were dressing like him, talk. See, it fell into three groups. You either loved him and you bought him. You either liked him and you bought him and other people, or you couldn't stand him, but you made sure you bought who you liked because you knew he was dominant. That's how it was. Yeah. Oh, it's in the theaters. I went last night. Went for the third time. It was the last time where I'm at, and a third time, and yeah, it was packed house. People was clapping. Oh, it's it's an experience, yo. It's an experience. To see this 40 plus years later with songs that are 40, 50 years old is just mind blowing. There ain't nothing like it. Ain't nothing like it. And I'm gonna tell you like this, the best way I know how. You should take 2026 off if you're another artist and come back and regroup for next year. Cause you can't touch this. This is just too heavy for you. And the man dominated music, movies, TV, books. They did. He was that big. You had to been there and experience that was mind blowing. Um, and the music hit. It was big time. Yep. The the reaction to him. Like I said before, he had a reaction unlike anybody I've ever seen. Um, you can you if you grew up with the more rhythmic sounds, that's your choice. I like Dangerous. It's not better than Thriller, but I liked it though. It had some grooves to it. You know, I liked it. I ain't gonna say that though. Okay, what's the question? But I ain't gonna say that because Teddy Riley ain't the half the producer of Quincy Jones and half the wordsmith that Rod Tempton is. And he didn't bring Michael Jackson a better song than what Michael wrote. And he sure as heck didn't bring an outside song that's touching human nature. But it's a good album. I like it a lot. It's part of his great run. But it's not better than Thriller though. I like it though. I listen to it a lot. And it's groove. But it's not better than Thriller. Because I have a different criteria. Feel free to hit that question on whenever you're ready. You gotta remember something. We talking about great songs, you know, and uh it's strong because of the characters. Like Jafar did such a great job. But is it better than Ray? I still think Jamie did a great job with Ray Fox. But I will say this though, it has staying power. It has staying power. I thought Donna Ross's Lady Sings the Blues was a great one too. It's in there though. It's in there when you do the rock my world. You to find dark child. Dun, dun. It cracks me up because when I first heard the song, right, I thought he came up with a very 80s phrase. But that particular song with Rodney Jerkins ends up it had lasting power because I think of that vamp and the way Michael Jackson took it, and it still sounds good. So it turned out to be it had legs. It had legs. That's why it still sounds good to this day. I didn't like most of the stuff Rodney Jerkins did on Invincible, but that one, that's got that song still works because that chorus is effective, and the way Michael Jackson approached it musically. I thought he was stuck more in the '80s with that title because we just said that back in the day. Yeah, yeah. Because I'm gonna tell you something. Michael's the difference maker. I can say that about the Silvers. I can say that about depending who you at. but he was one of one. No one had a leader like him. Because without him, I think Jim and Terry Lewis did a reality show with the Jacksons because they had a reality show on A&E, and they said without Michael, it ain't the same. It ain't. Jermaine is bad. Randy bad. Tito got talent. Jackie does some decent backgrounds and stuff like that, and Marlon can dance. Ain't the same. It ain't the same. It ain't the same. Because also with the bars, they got to write their songs, and you got to remember Elle and Bunny and all that. So it's not the same. Talented, and they can perform like they perform, but without that leader, there's a difference when you put that leader up there. There's a big difference. I think that You Rock My World it was playing on the type, but he usually played on the type of always trying to catch this girl. Well, they keep making music about being alive. I said, do you think she was already facing a decline? She was gonna be better in the movies. And I still think she did her best stuff with R. Kelly. And let me let you on a secret. If you come to this channel here, I don't sugarcoat. I say what the other people don't say. That's just a fact. She was better with R. Kelly. It's just a shame that he couldn't control himself. But then again, their situation ain't that much different than Celine Dion and her husband, okay? Just saying. Do the research. Foxy Brown, Jay-Z, allegedly. Do the research. But to me, because I still be listening to back and forth for her and R. Kelly. Love that stuff they did together musically. Love their stuff. Missy and Timbaland just gave her a beat, and Timbaland is sprung on her too to this day. He's about Aaliyah like Jada Pinkett Smith is about Tupac. It's not healthy. Yeah, age ain't nothing but a number, and at your best, you are love. Love the remix. People can say what they want to say about Kales. That cat still is the last great R&B artist I've heard. The last great one. Mm-hmm. Songwriter, producer, his artistry ain't gonna be faded. Ain't gonna be faded. Not what's out now. So let me let you a secret. When Rock the Boat came out, which was a cool cut, she had no buzz. She had no buzz. The rocket came and went. Pretty much. I'd probably say Blood on the Dance Floor. Cause I mean, you're gonna take some of that. Some of it was okay, and some of it was just yeah. Every artist got a dude in their catalog. That's when you asking the question. See, you can't get mad if someone answers a question. You could be asked the question. I liked her style to an extent, but I just think she did better with R. Kelly. She wouldn't want no more to do with the business. Stacy was quitting the business. Stacy got tired of the business. She didn't want to do cheeks for checks. She quit. She actually was in that video, Nail It to the Wall. Diddy was in that video. Look at that video back in '89. A young Sean Puffy Combs with a box high top like from Kid and Play was in that video if you ain't seen it. She was unalive by pushing that video. They purposely put her out. I believe that. They didn't want whatever they wanted to get that money. Her uncle runs her estate, who used to be R. Kelly's manager, Barry Hankerson. So you can look it up. I try to bring some facts on this channel, so I'm not gonna sugarcoat about that. I like Stacey Lasso a lot. Used to have a crush on her, dug her musically. Um, you know, y'all remember? She from DC area. She brought Johnny Gill along. They used to be together. Perfect combination. You gotta look it up. Oh, I know all about Stacey Lattisaw. She a minister, and she quit the business in the late '80s. She doesn't. She stopped. She didn't want no parts of it. She got two with Michael too. What was more impactful was his moves, yo. What about would you tell a new my girl start with? I would start with the Jackson Five. I'd work your way all the way up to the beginning. I want you back, who's loving you, never can say goodbye. Maybe tomorrow, darling dear, sugar daddy, mama's pearl. got to be there. I want to be where you are, being all that. Cause you know, you need to hear that. That's after the fact as a grown person. I'm talking about the real. So you talk to someone who grew up with Michael, you talk on them, you go to the beginning because it was great stuff. You hear his voice, you hear the styling, you see the production. Because before you get to that, there was a whole nother life and a career. Some people don't understand how prolific, productive, how hard he had to work on Motown. So before we get to that, you got to get to that. You'd have to go to Destiny before you get to Off the Wall, because Destiny came out first. He did from, I will say from early on, I'd say, yeah, all the way to about, he had those moments all the way and nonstop, uh, 69 to about 82, I would say. Because he changed into a more percussionist type of vocalist with the Bad Ear onward. But the way he crooned and crooned early in his career was a different artistry. So let me be real with you. If he never switched up after Off the Wall style and stayed with the way he was singing like in the 70s, he'd have been like Al Green style for life. Now, I don't. Well, see, first of all, Janet always sung like she was whispering. And then Michael sung that with, he had different vibrato. Well, and don't forget Jackie Wilson. It's called You Owning Your Masters. Don't forget about Easy E. Don't forget about Tupac. Don't forget about Biggie. Don't forget about Prince, Whitney Houston, Luther Vandross, who's very suspect situation. I can name names, you know. I don't think they had much of a hand in Marvin Gaye's though, because Marvin Gaye was pretty much self-induced. Well, the bigger you become, the bigger you are. You're gonna pay a price. You sure gonna pay a price? I always tell people all the time: cheeks for checks, booty for looty. I kid you not. I kid you not. I ain't lying when I say it. You gotta give up something. Her biggest impact song to me, probably Control. But Rhythm Nation can make a case. And That's the Way Love Goes can make a case. I think you can make a case for those three. That's the Way Love Goes was the last song by her that blew my socks down. Rhythm Nation was impactful song and Control was her standard. So, you know, those to me are her most. I think her impactful era is pretty much 85 to 95. I think I'm talking about Little Velvet Rope. That's when she really hit her prime peak. Almost like you could do no wrong from Control to Velvet Rope. I wasn't the biggest Velvet Rope fan. Romanticized stuff now, it's rough. Now, you ain't cut for it, you gonna get your feelings hurt. And most acts back in the day came from areas that were very rough and tough. And you had to have a certain mindset to make it, let alone survive, because, you know. So I don't blame him in terms of what he did as far as getting them straight as far as artistry goes. I don't think Kendrick should do that for simple fact. You got one of the best known diss tracks off. You'll never get that reaction again. Your career is not in the same position it was. Because I remember when Kendrick was like he was just going to kind of go through the motions and that was it. And that came about. That's not happening again. And if he goes after Drake and disses him now, he looks desperate to try to get a duplicate of what he already had, which ain't going to happen. He can be subtle though. Just the song, I'm going to say Thriller because of the music on it. Well, that's what the industry wants, though. You know. I think Thriller had more lively music and more swing to it. Bad could have had it. I did like the long version with the extra vocal risk, but it could have been, a little bit more groove on it though. Cause I like it live though. In the long version, but it needed a little bit more slap to it. I wanted more of that Jimmy Smith organ playing on it, but they only gave it like 20, 30 seconds. For me, it is. I mean, it's one of them. That and No Vaseline. I have diss tracks that I like. And Ether was cold, but I liked it. I loved it. That's what Nas was at his best. Cause he ate the camel up. Oh yeah. He was rhythmic. And what he told too was to get the spotlight on his feet, which was a smart move. He understood the element. Like I said, that man had music going through his soul. When you can dance out your rhythm and you can feel it, that's amazing. You know, he really understood bringing the past and the present to the future. He really got it. That's why he was so dominant. His musical syncopation was great. All right. Oh yeah. But Jay Z didn't care because Jay Z wasn't battling. See, Jay Z ended up learning how to be cozy. He cozied up to get hits. He didn't. After a while, he stopped caring. No, he shouldn't, because that pose is all he got going for him. That corny album ain't doing nothing. And that budget get ate up. That don't mean nothing. Yeah, look, he can pose all he want. He could get him an S curl. He could try everything he want. The music ain't going nowhere though. Yeah. Mm. I don't care about the pose. What's inside of just what the problem. Yeah. Well, that's what he do. That's what he declares himself. I like a handful of his songs, but I'm not the biggest Jay Z fan. But I like a handful of his songs. Best of both worlds. I like the title track. Best of both worlds. Yeah, it was alright. My favorite song by them is "Guilty, Not Guilty Till Innocent." Not guilty. Mm, mm, mm. Jigga Kells not guilty. Mm. That was my cut. No, maybe for you, not for me. Greatest of what? What does he do better than any of the MC? He ain't the baddest. He ain't the baddest spitter. He ain't sold the most records. He ain't had the most impact. So now, uh, Drake's not that kind of MC. That's out his area code jurisdiction. He mad because he tried to grandstand on Drake. They tried to grandstand on him, and he wasn't going for it. So, but Drake's desperate for a street cred, somebody to believe in him because he know he's corny. Hmm. He's not in the conversation. No, he's not. Um, he's one of those. He's one of those. He thrived in a time where he got over, and some people are cool with that. He's a hustler. You know. Yeah. But when I break it down like this, is he a better rapper than Rakim or KRS-One or LL Cool J or Scarface or Ice Cube? No. Can he hang with Nas? No. I'm starting. I'm gonna start. If I had to start, I'm gonna start Biggie, and then I'm gonna bench Nas, and I'm cutting Jay Z. I'm going in that order because Biggie was more versatile. Nas is probably a better MC as far as cut straight, the cut. But if I'm going by someone who give me some of a little bit of all that, I'm going with Biggie. Well, I Wanna Be Your Lover was the one. And then after that, Controversy. And then, of course, 1999 Little Real Corvette's the one that made him household. Wanna Be Your Lover got his feet wet. Controversy was for the clubs and the beats. 1999 was like, okay, but it was Little Real Corvette is the one that Middle America slept up. And then Purple Rain is an anthem. So it all depends on Doug's Cry was too. So it's one of them situations, you know. And then of course Kiss is still hugely popular. So um, when you talk about popular, when you asking me, I'm thinking about, like the songs that were, be yeah, you are. Because Beanie Siegel had more love than Memphis, but that's okay though. Yeah, you is. That's almost like saying that you like Tony Yayo or Lloyd Banks and them. No one talks about G Unit. No one talks about Memphis Bleak no more. Um, I'd say more of a great song. And there's a difference between an anthem and a song. You know it's true. Because an anthem is like something like Purple Rain is an anthem. And it could be both. Because an anthem means it's a combination of both. I look at 1999 more as the song. People looked at it, but then, it kind of, it depends on who you were. So I reviewed Drake's last work. I compared him. Well, Mace had a good run. To Mace's credit, Mace was catchy. Yeah, that is. Do you agree? Let's do Max start. Oh, I'm starting at LL Cool J. Now the bench part's tough because they both. I would actually say I'm gonna have to bench Mace. I'm not big on Drake. I know he's popular and all that, but Mace actually was. That's now take it for what it's worth. To slow down rapping, that's Mace was popular for that. So obviously it'll stomps both of them out, but um, I'd have to cut Drake because at least with Mace, you knew what you got, and it didn't blow it all up in your face like they do with this. You know, so yes, he was. He's very egomaniac. He had short man's complex, and he was very bothered by it. What happened was with he wasn't mad about the Manic Monday. I'll tell you the story in both. Nothing Compares to You, which was given to Sinead O'Connor, was given because his former manager Stephen Fragnoli hooked her up. It was an obscure track that he wrote for this group called The Family that he put together, etc. Manic Monday was done in disguise for the Bengals. He liked the Bengals and he had a thing for Susanna Huff. So that's two different things. But he definitely had a problem with someone, especially like Nothing Compares to You, because he lost his mind when that blew up. So I'll tell you this catalog does matter. But if you're asking me based on talent and what moved me, I'm taking Mace. Shaka Khan's, and I'm gonna tell you why. She worked with Arif Mardin, the producer, and that was back in '84. So sampling Stevie Wonder's harmonica playing, doing a remake of a song, and then scratching it modern was hip hop. And yeah, because Prince's version felt like somebody that was in the late '70s who had a danceable song that didn't quite have the right remix to get it out. Her version, you wanted to bop to it, you wanted to groove to it. It was full. But like I said before, it wasn't to Dirty Mind for me with Prince. Dirty Mind Controversy in 1999 was his trilogy where he really stepped his game up. So he was still coming into his own. So I Call Your Name is the biggest song, but I like that Commodore saying, yeah, I like it for the Commodores, but I give Switch a slight twinkle on that. Hmm. That's a loaded question. I like too many for different reasons, so I can't really answer that because there's a lot of people I like for different. Because he doesn't play defense and he's not aggressive. And Jalen Brunson stays making you on skates. He stays pushing at you. Donovan is plays cute basketball. I think I told you already. I started the video off. Somebody asked me early in the video, and I said he played too cute. He don't want to get his fingernails dirty. You got to score 35 to 40 points. And that's not ball hogging. He has to actually become alpha. And he just he's scared. So that's what's up. If they beat up on each other, the Knicks got hope. But if everybody's healthy, they don't. Talent doesn't mean everything. It's called heart. See, we could sit here and debate who's got more talent. Talent is one thing. Stevie Wonder had a great quote. Talent gets you to the top, but it takes character to maintain the top. He's too light in the cakes mentally. That's the bottom line. You lose your top player. Your team don't play defense. Y'all get smashed left and right. I think that not quite. And you're thinking that Halliburton is going to come back and somehow miraculously bring y'all back. Okay. You don't fall off that bad losing one guy unless you got other problems. Call yourself what you want to call yourself. I ain't gonna, I mean, people do all the time. She really call herself that? Whatever. Yeah, but you shouldn't fall off that bad. Y'all fell off like y'all was stuck with a bunch of Bronny Jameses. I mean, come on now. You can't go that bad. They got compartmentalized to be outside shooters. They still jump. They still jump. But you got to remember something. It's Adam Silver's world. You see what you see. You got problem, you need to go write him a letter and say what happened to that. You know what happened to it. They don't want 12 shot bank shots. They don't want 12 ounce of foot shots. So you know what happened to it. And everything else that happens to it. So politics involved. Powers it be. Thoughts on Duke, Crowns, Dan. Because people don't think about that. They think that somehow, like, first of all, you black. Second of all, you black. Third of all, you black and you ain't got no money. And then you like, uh-oh. Then you, yeah. And probably thinking that if you take out someone else black, that you probably get a slap on the wrist. That's the reality. Because that's how it's ingrained systematic institutionalized racism. That's when you see black on black and they actually get caught and they gotta do time. And in the white counterparts, it's like I thought this we were going to get off from this because this is what the society has told you that black life don't really matter that much. So you're surprised when they actually follow through. But so I am not shocked or surprised. I think that's the reality that they got this assumption that they were gonna get a high five and some Twinkies and cupcakes and Kool Aid, and then they thought they both go home, and the next thing you know, they're getting feted for. Yeah. It used to be you take out a rapper and you didn't have to get punishment. Yeah. Well, first of all, you don't have the same caliber today. That's why. No, she was too AJ squared. She could sing. I even like when she did "I Believe I Can Fly." She got a nice voice. Just it's the drip, and it's just that they don't really want to showcase. She doesn't get showcased. Well, I'll let you in the secret. They all snitch. What do you think they do on these networks? Hmm? What do you think Vlad's about? I ain't got no problem with him. He ain't trying to do no real time, and he knows something. But what he ain't gonna do is talk about the Diddy money. He ain't gonna bring it back home. That's all. But they all snitch, though. That's part of the lore. You can make a case that that's what made hip hop, because that's all it was snitching. And they get paid to turn on each other. So, see what time it is. I got about 25 more minutes, so we good for 25 more minutes. I'm gonna do an hour and a half today, so for 25 more minutes. Now, Kiefer D just doing what they all do. It's just that he ain't got no money, and he don't have the right horses. Yeah. I'm starting Lionel Richie. Then I'm gonna bench Freddie Jackson. I gotta cut people, and I like people. But people has something he would do, and people would take a people classic show. Yeah, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory for me. People had about 2 or 3 songs that I dug, and I liked his voice and talent, but he ain't seeing line on Freddie though. They're a cleanup crew. What about people? Oh Lord, in that order, in that order, in that order. Now Glenn Jones can sing, but he'd be basically like a broke Peebo. And Marlon was an okay writer and an okay vocalist, but he's not in that class. So no, we got to come better than that. Glenn Jones is underappreciated, and I like people. You know, um, depends on where they're going. Depends on where they're going. Stay and a group called Eternal did a remake of it. He had a couple bumps. Do you like? No, are you crazy? Is that a joke? Is that a joke? Is that a joke? Are you for real? Are you a comedian? Is this like some Memorial Day weekend joke or prank? Are you kidding me? Please. Karen White, Superwoman, Secret Rendezvous. Now she may not have the best voice in the world, but her voice is still three tiers better than Latoya because she wasn't really part of his life in terms of his music career. Uh he was older than her, and um his situation was a bit different than hers. It's a situation where I get it why she's not integral. She'll be more integral to the second part than the first part. And he really was just concentrating on the upbringing of what he was doing in his life. So it really wasn't integral to that. If she was integral, that'd be a star. Now, the one that you should have smoke for is Diana Ross. If you're gonna get mad about Diana Ross. That's the one. The Janet part, I can kind of see it because there wasn't a lot of because he actually spent more time videos with Latoya. So he was actually cool with Randy and Janet one time. But no, Don Ross gets the nod. I don't know. Of course, he influenced their career. You grow up and you see a young teenager dancing and making music and creating all this. Of course, she was influenced by him. Of course, she was. But she also understood her father's strong arm tactics too. She didn't want no parts of it. And I think that she didn't want it because she thought Jermaine had too much of a say. And she didn't want it to be a certain way. And she, you know, so. But it really wouldn't have made a difference based on the women. Yeah, he pushed her too. Because without Michael, you don't have nothing to push. Yeah, I said it. Because like in the movie when Catherine confronted Joe and said, without Michael, this we don't have nothing. You better tell the whole truth. Yeah, Joe pushed him as far as the discipline, what it took to stay on top and the politics, etc., etc. But Michael's talent and drive is what got him there. And it's like, okay, this is how we're going to go with this. So, mhm. Was Michael's no, no, because she allowed a lot of stuff to go down. She also used the Jehovah Witness situation that kind of indoctrined. She was stronger than she let on, but no, you know, she was someone you respected, but you knew how she got down too. So, not really. Jermaine was the lead singer of the Jacksons before Michael took off, but Jermaine, again, you could tell with Michael there was something different about it. And Tito could play guitar. Tito could play guitar. But that's all he got going for him. He wasn't gonna beat you with songwriting. Jermaine had skills, but Jermaine didn't really. He played with this band, did the segment back '76. He was good, pretty good on bass too. It was definitely great on bass when he played with that. More embarrassing. More embarrassing? Um, embarrassing? I gotta say the Bryants because at least in the Jacksons case, they had the Jackson family honors. As bad as stuff was, even when we went to court, everybody was there. Kobe's situation was different. So I'm gonna say it like this: if the series goes 7, I like the Thunder. If it's 5 or less, it's the Spurs. And how do I come to those conclusions? Because if you're the Spurs, you've played this kind of flawed ball where you've gotten able to get over in 5 or 4 games. If you go more than 6 with this team, you're going to lose because the Thunder are built for longer series. But I'll say this, it brings a lot of character. The reason why I say this is because the Spurs, I've said this again, their Achilles is Champagne, is the point guard. They got to get that tightened up a couple pieces right where they stopped all the turnovers. And it's a couple things. They can do that, you know. Well, he wants to play. That's all it is. I mean, their situation ain't gonna end like Brady and Belichick. I mean, for one main reason, both of them are complete overrated jive turkeys. What you expect? Yeah, I mean, you want a super shot take? There you go. Aaron freaking Rodgers got one ring, and he won that with Mike McCarthy back before there was a Instagram. Okay, and McCarthy ain't won, so yeah, they can't win without each other. Why not? They don't need no. That's the. Let me say something. Chad Holgram, not Holgram, but um um whatchamacallit, they placed him on Winyamba. That's a smart move. If Winyamba doesn't score a lot, you keep him neutralized. I'm telling you, it doesn't have anything to do with that. Being 7'5" has nothing to do with that. And Winyamba isn't at his peak in his prime. I'm going to say this. I said the guard problem is their Achilles. Too many turnovers, too loosey goose. Oh, let me tell you about the elephant in the room that ain't going to happen, but if it did, there would be no doubt the Spurs would come out. Oh, don't you imagine if they had a Tony Parker and Ginobili with Winyamba? Could you imagine the damage that they would do for the next 10 years? I didn't say 5, I said 10. But they don't have those guys. They got guys who can shoot that thing, and they're athletic, but they don't have that controlled tempo guard. See, this is what they're missing. That's the reason why OKC got a chance, because it's a pretty evenly matched series, team wise. But the Achilles for San Antonio is the guard play. That's even if Fox is playing or not, and they bench a suspect. Good question, Logan. Do you think the vintage Muhammad? I think he'll come back. I think he's still got 2 more chips left in him, 2 more runs. He's too good to not come back, and all they got to do is tighten up the scrooges. I don't think he got too excited. I think what happened was they almost blew that game. They could be down 0-2. Now think about it. He don't make that Steph Curry logo 3, they down 0-2. And as good as they played, they squandered that lead. So, well, it's an Andre Miller type of situation. But what I'm trying to tell you is this. Oh, you can find someone. Let Halliburton play with that cat. Let him play with Winyamba. Let Kate Cunningham have a Winyamba. You want me to go there? I'll go there. You want me to go there? I'll go there. See? Because I'm telling you, you mix tempo up with them the right way, you ain't seen nothing yet. They are flawed. That's their big flaw. That's the only reason why I don't have them go in it at all this year. Because I think the next 4 or 5 years, I think so. But they could sneak track it still this year. But if they had that guard spot tight, little touch up on the bench, clean up a couple things, because they're not that far off. But they do look their age, and I'm going to tell you why. Game each in the Portland series, game against Minnesota. It's a couple situations where they loosey-goosey, and if you got the right coaching and adjustments, you can beat them. They can be had. That won't be the case in 2 or 3 years times, I don't think. But for now, they're vulnerable. And when Yamba gets a couple more years or more seasoning under him, gets his and he could develop a skyhook or, you know, just keep working on his game, ball control, be aware of double teams, be aware of elbows, top of the key read screens, backdoor cutters. Watch out. You're just getting warmed up. It is just getting warmed up. His best is not even close. He doesn't need a pro prime peak. If they get that guard spot, they get him somebody that can control tempo, mix it up, and their bench is legit. They're gonna be running a dynasty. So it can be done. It can be done. But that's their biggest flaw right now. Shoot, you could get you a Tony Parker Ginobili with that right now. Oh, they coming out the West for the next 5 years straight. Straight. Win or lose. Because there was no way in the world. That's what they're missing. Bring those two today to him. Yeah. You don't really realize how great Parker and Ginobili was until you think about Dave Robinson, you think the Duncan era, and then it came up big. So they're probably one of the most underrated duos. Yeah. Size, strength. He can hang on the rim. He'd be scary because he'd be doing what Giannis does. He'd be a handful. He'd be a handful and a half. Would he win? I can't say if he would win or not. But he'd be a handful. I put it to you like this. He'd be going 3 rounds deep almost every other year, if nothing else. If injuries don't get in the way, strip club and the bud don't get in the way, you got a chance. Because he was a handful back in the day. He just didn't have the right talent on his team. That's all. Not for what he needed to do to win. Oh, yeah. Nick would be something else today. Nick would be even scarier than Vince Carter. If I'm being honest. So would Bernard King. Those guys are pure scorers. He wouldn't have to really shoot threes because Giannis ain't a great 3-point shooter, and he still puts up 30 points a game. So what's that tell you? He kind of willed himself to doing it. I'm telling you, if you saw Dominique Wilkins play and he had a 30-point season in the 90s, he would definitely be rolling today. He would be a handful. Because Kawhi is a handful. And Nick was more explosive than him. So there you go. So that's how I look at that. Shea doesn't shoot a lot of 3-pointers, and he's still averaging 30 plus points a game. So that's how I answer that question. Hmm. Well, it depends on what you do. First of all, people need star power now. And besides, they'll take those chances. Listen, if Jimmy Butler can get traded for, you trade for Giannis 5 times over. Because you're going to sit here and tell me that Giannis ain't 5 times the player that Jimmy Butler is. And then that Rudy Gobert, come on now, you have to. Because it really wouldn't have done them no good. That's not their problem. Giannis is not a good fit for Cleveland. Cleveland needs more of a perimeter between a guard. Jared Allen's enough in the box. They just need somebody who knows understand leadership and can put people together. I'll say it like this: Cleveland needs a man to run the team to put Donovan and James Harden in balance because they don't have a man that can run the team. That's their problem right there. Everybody wants to score, and nobody wants to defend, or they don't want to put themselves on that, like, take this assignment. That's that's strictly on what they're pulling. Cause that was a bit unruly. I think they trade Mobley now. He ain't exactly lighting it up for him. Oh yeah, I'm not saying, but at the time, and it wasn't that long ago. But all I'm saying is, if you up here trying to play, you're trying to play Giannis like he's Dennis Schroeder or something. You shoot. You look at what you traded for Gobert. The guy's gonna fetch something. He gonna fetch something. He gonna fetch something. So before you act like because you're gonna have to come off about 2 or 3 people and some picks. Luca came off some picks, so you're gonna have to come off something. They won't trade Rudy. Can't get him for Rudy now. Which song of his could have been hitting any decade? All his main songs. Because the fact that they're charting right now speaks to that. I mean, you gotta give me when you say that, you're talking about a guy that's got songs charting from 40, 50 years ago right now. So I mean, the great songs he composed, they speak to that. So that's the way I would describe it because it's kind of a he's got so much versatility that the ones that stand out still sound good. So that they sound good in the 2000s. In case you didn't notice, Bill G #1 song. So pick another artist when you say stuff like that because Michael's 101. That's just he kind of got it like that. Yeah, yeah. So I'll start one by one. Yeah, bigger than Presley. Um, more impact. Uh, bigger brand than Ray Charles. Ray Charles more impactful. Musically, Ray Charles was a blueprint for all that. But that Whitney Houston, yeah, he had more impact as overall artistry. And James Brown, James was compartmentalized to one side of the tracks. James is one of the 10 most influential artists. But yeah, Michael Jackson would have it over those though. He sold more records, he had more impact and different things. But they all individually talent wise, guy either got the catalog or have something that they could put up against him. So that's how I describe that. No, it's just this music, yo. It was the music, you know, and he had a bigger impact. He had more longevity. Presley was Presley was dumbfounded by the Beatles, yo. It's like the Beatles came and styles changed, and he had that '68 comeback. But his real heyday was in the mid to early '50s, that mid '50s to late '50s. When you say better, you asking artistry. Now you ask the question was above, bigger. So you went from bigger to better. Better subjective, bigger is obvious. There's two different entities. Bigger and better is two different entities. He has songs that I like, and he definitely had charisma and personality. But he's not in Michael Jackson's weight class at all. But he has some songs that I like. And he could sing gospel all right. You know, he did different things, you know. But he didn't have the run that Michael did. Michael knocked the Beatles out number with the Jackson 5. Then you fast forward to disco and funk and the hip hop come along, he still was thriving. So that should answer your question. Now, I'll say this. Charles could play more and do different things, and wrote standards of great artistry, and James Brown was funkier, stuff like that. But they didn't sustain the kind of career Michael Jackson did. Not with reinventing himself. Ray did with had a great run, and James did too. But Michael's thing is different. Well, I ain't talking about the weight. I'm just talking about, you asking about the music. I ain't talking about the imagery. But Michael's thing was so unique because he had an uncanny ability that no matter what the style was, he could make it happen. Just saying, he made it happen. Disco took over. Heavy metal was big when Michael was popular. That's what people understand. There was other styles. He just dominated. He just dominated. You know, he he really just stayed, you know, he grasped it. So yeah, that was cool. That was cool. Yeah, they did. All right. Feel free to give me some more likes too. If anybody wants to hit some more likes up, feel free. And like I said before, I am coming back on Sunday. They hit their peak from, I say 92 to about 95 because 91 the album came out, but then when End of the Road came out, then it was like huge. Uh, the problem was I think their attitude was stank, and then they got formulated, and then they were only as good as what Babyface and Jim and Lewis gave them, and then that was pretty much it. That kind of came and went. They could sing, but they had no personality, and nobody in the group could make it solo. That's what they want groups to do. And I know you're not gonna lie about the movie. If it's good, great, then it really is. I'm not gonna lie to you. Jafar was magical. The youngster, Julio, the one that played him, was great. They didn't get enough chance to develop character, but I understood that. It's one of the reasons why I had to watch it a couple times because I had to understand, and also going in already knowing that you'd have to have layers because it's the racial agenda that they do. They won't come after a 34-time convicted president, but they'll pick after Michael Jackson because they don't buy his success. They they see this is what they do. This is the racial institutionalized racism of the power of letting you know who's the king. See, this is what they do. And they won't let that run into the sunset. He done wonders for the film business. Are you kidding me? No one saw this movie. They didn't see this movie doing the half of what it's going to do. And this is like a kick and knock their butt out. This is how they repay because they never respected him. So this is what they do. And it's already not guilty in case you didn't know. But that's what they got. That's what they do. That's how petty they are. But they were petty when he was alive, so there's nothing that's changed. It's been gone for almost 20 years and they're still petty, so it's nothing different. Why would they do anything different than they have? They've always hated him because they want to act like, well, Boys in the Hood wasn't a biopic, for one thing. Straight Outta Compton was some good fanfare fantasy. It was cool for where it came out. It got you hyped. It got you hyped. But it was the furthest thing from the truth. I mean, they made Dr. Dre look like Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. They really cleaned him up. I mean, they really. Oh, they did so much icing. There ain't enough icing on the cake without you turning to a diabetic after you watching that. I liked it at the time, but I know how flawed it was. I know how fake it was too. You know, they really made themselves a lot more in depth and understanding than were. So two different things though. He was smart and aggressive in the sense that he always seemed to be a money maker. So if you're talking about from that point, yeah, because he hit it with easy, and then he went to death row, and the whole thing with Snoop, and then um, his solo career, and then whatever he seemed to be in the right place, right time, and the guy had a good ear, so he did what he had to do. And them headphones, I mean, he always seemed to be on the cutting edge of doing something right. So he made what he had to do. You know. So he had good people in his corner. It didn't hurt that him and Jimmy Iovine were at the hip though either. And he had, he always, he seemed to always make the right choice at the right time. Because I'll give an example. So I don't know if you watch Reggie Wright and Bomb first, but the Chronic, which he sold the rights to a few years ago, he sold off his catalog and all that. But what happened was when he left Death Row, he wasn't going to get anything. But he never signed off as an artist and a producer. So when they got Death Row went to bankruptcy and it came time, since he didn't sign nothing off on his being a rights as an artist producer, he was owed $5-6 million of credit. So, well, he did. But you gotta remember something. The same thing that got him with Sugar is the same thing that took him off because he wanted a bully tactics to muscle, and Suge knew how to make stuff by muscling. But it also turned into because Suge did too many self indulgent things. So you gotta be careful what you ask for, because sometimes you reap what you sow if you push that well. So no, Suge got caught up trying to spin Golly, and then that whole thing. Suge got caught up being Suge too much. That's what messed that all up. And he forgot to stay behind the curtain. He got to stay in his lane, and he got caught up on the sugar. You know, so that's what messed him up. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares. And dissing Dr. Dre writing 20 ain't gonna do nothing for you. There's no cloud in that. How you gonna diss a guy that's a billionaire who's practically got half the industry jocking him? It's not even up for discussion. Sound personal to me. Could be any number of things. I don't know. I don't want to hear a dumpster telling another dumpster that your trash is worse than mine. Please. Who listens to what Rick Ross got to say? Really? Rick Ross ain't got no thoughts on nothing. Rick Ross is bought and paid for. Oh, Eminem, come on now. White boy, come on now. Listen, I don't mince words on this show. So if you want me to be sugarcoat, go somewhere else. If you want the truth, you going to get the truth. A duh. That's a duh. Now, I'm going to say this. So I want to make a point. Dre and Snoop could have been the Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson of hip hop. Yeah, that voice was unique, and Dre's thing was fresh. And he was a hit maker, and he, you know, so that. But Eminem, come on now, that was like the golden ticket. Not only to get a white boy, but a white boy that actually had credibility, who could flow and could spit, and it did wonders. So that's why I mentioned about Dre being right place, right always. Okay, if LeBron was about 10 years younger, if Luca was about in shape to go along with his skill set, and if you don't pick and prod at Austin Reeves like he's a pinata because he's not that good against full court press. I already had a discussion about 94 feet and traps with him. It's funny when he goes against teams where he can pose and shoot and flex and do all that. Ain't it funny how he scored 25, 30 points? But when he goes against teams that know how to press his behind, make him put the ball and make him work, he's what, 15 points tops. So, nah. But LeBron is a comedian, and he'll say anything for a good laugh. They did have a good defensive scheme against SGA. However, they had no execution in the glass, and their perimeter is soft, and their bench is lame juice, and they too slow, they too old. So other than that, yeah. Well, I don't look at those two as the ultimate as far as musicals. I can name about 50 other acts that are better, more signed. So, but if this is your era and that's all you know, of course you're going to say Eminem of that because Eminem is going to be seen like the Elvis of hip hop. So that's the one of those two. If they are about talking about something, but you get that case with whatchamacallit on the Packers who left Dallas. Why am I not thinking him right now? He spent so much time dissing the Cowboys and Dak Prescott and Jerry Jones, and he gets to Green Bay and he plays good, and then what happens? If you're gonna say something, if you're gonna really say something, but you ain't saying nothing. Well, they signed with Interscope, which was association, but of course it was Dre signing Eminem. 50 getting when M got 50, he did have a career. No one knew about Eminem blowing up like that. There's a difference. And the white guy's gonna win every time. That's the one that you want to hear. And I gotta put my white voice on. The white guy is going to win this argument. Come on now. You got Eminem. Do I need to say anything else? That's a no-brainer. 50 turned out a lot of product at work and etc. But come on now. That's Eminem. I think players having podcasts is cool because they can subsidize their money and they keep your breast. The only problem is that, and they also don't like the way these commentators like Stephen A. all them talk. I get it. Man, we talk about prolific and productivity. Okay, I'll address that about Quincy in just a second. So Professor Griff said so. I wouldn't put nothing past nothing. I wouldn't put nothing past nothing. A lot of artists got too many things. Well, see, because there's no, you got to put a lot of product. Sometimes cats do it to get paid, some they don't. There's a lot of cheeks for checks in the business. So would I be surprised? No. Because you got to remember that that's the industry after all. And there's some strange things that go on to get you put on. So would I be shocked or surprised? Nope. Not at all. It's the industry we're talking about. If you understand that industry, you know anything can go. And all them cats that was associated with Diddy, you can imagine. So it's not about a need. It's about the fact that he can make records and then he just puts stuff out. And sometimes it's because he can actually get paid at this stage. I don't know if you know or not. He had one of the worst deals and he ain't making no money off of it because he was talking about the streaming hustle. But you know what? If you make a record and again, he hit the way he hit 30 years ago, of course he's gonna get a green light because you never know. It might connect. You never know how these things work. And now do I feel he could have stopped about 20 albums ago? Yeah, but hey, that ain't stopped nobody before. And hey, why should it? Because you never know. You might come up with something that hits the ching, and next thing you know, people go back buying your stuff again. So, you know. But for me, his heyday was, it stopped long ago. Has anyone done more or less? Well, it depends on who you talk about, because that's the kind of look. Because some people might say that about Hammer. It depends on what you consider what less is. He was able to put people together. He took his neighborhood and put them on the map, and that counts for something. I mean, he was, business minded, and I thought Mia X was pretty good, the female rapper. But his brothers, C Murder actually had a couple cuss I like, but he was one dimensional, and Silk the Shocker was hilariously so. I liked him with the Neptunes, okay, but he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to because, hey, again, he got over. He got over. And that's all that matters in his world. He got over. So that's what's up. But the fact that he can still go on the stage and maybe drop a record, try different projects. He had a reggae project he tried. He did a gospel project, you know. So, but that's the reality. Neither one of them. Neither. I'd say her by default, and that'd only be like one song a month. Neither one of them. I avoid the Knowles Carter clan like the plague. They the two of the most overrated acts I ever heard. Yeah. I listened to them back in the 90s because I like Tom Morello's guitar playing a whole lot. Yeah, see, I remember that garbage. He tried everything. Eddie Murphy did too. I remember that. He smoked too many joints. That's what happened. But you try something. Yeah, Rage Tom is bad. Morello bad. I like what they did. I like some of their stuff. You know. So I listened to a lot of acts back in the day. You'd be surprised. Some things held up, some didn't. The only thing about Rage is that like I like the bombastic guitar playing, but say like for instance, I thought Living Color did it better, but they got no love. Morello's a brother too, by the way. So, but again, and it was Ben Harper. I mean, I can go on if you like that. Got to feel me a little bit more on the cultural impact of why is that not registering to me? Don't know. I like the groove of it. It had a country and western vibe to it. Something like interesting, like they took some of the guitar part of "Give In to Me" into "Whatever Happens." Oh, it's been a while since I listened to that. Yeah, they had impact. They had impact. They had a fight about them. I think that's the thing about them that got them over. Like I said, a real edge. I don't know if it's super criminally underrated, but I think it's one of those songs that I would have loved if he had done it live with the Living Color Cats and with Slash in. Yeah, I remember that. Um, it's been a while, but I'm gonna get back to you on it. I'll go back and reinvest it because it's been a while since I listened to it. Um, I think "Given to Me" is a good song, but I don't know about criminally underrated. Chad Holgram, because it's just that he has to have someone put a battery, charge his batteries up. He can be the Klay Thompson to SGA Steph if he knows how to play his cards right. He just has to get that gear kicked in, and that's the reality. I don't know. Tell me what you see as of interest. See, because I don't know nothing until I see how these teams look. I mean, really, I don't know. I'm gonna be curious about how Seattle and the Rams are because to me that's the best division. Oh yeah, well that's a lot of X do. Lady in My Life. I only like the Beautiful Ones for is the Purple Rain movie. But Lady in My Life, I love the middle section. That brass, that live, the way he hits that harmony. Uh, what you mean? Don't sleep on them. They've been on this song for a decade now. What you talking about? Two choke Super Bowls. A coach that's been choking the NFC Championship game. What you mean? Sleep on them? Shoot, they've been like Rip Van Winkle. What you talking about? That's a big game for the Rams because the Rams got a lot to prove. Matthew Stafford's got a lot to prove. Second best team arguably in the AFC. I mean NFC. I liked it more for Purple Rain. It's not my favorite slow jam by him. I like Adore better and kind of Do Me Baby were my two favorite Prince slow cuts. I like the Beautiful Ones for the movie scene. But the Lady in My Life, Michael sounded like a grown man. That was some crooning. He was, you know, oh yeah, okay. The Brock Purdy syndrome after all. How many passes you gonna keep giving him? Should this cat been on the bubble like they choked two Super Bowls, okay? With two different quarterbacks. They choked the NFC Championship game against the Rams before boy catches that interception. They beat Stafford and they go play Cincinnati in the Super Bowl. What are you going on about? Uh, Kyle Shenanigans, as I call him, Shenanigans should have been fired like 4 years ago. Shenanigans got to go. What are you waiting on, San Francisco? Because I ain't never associate the 49ers with you. Oh, Computer Blue. That's not even a memorable MJ song. It's cute. And I'm not big on Computer Blue either. And for the record, before you go on, I don't really like the Purple Rain soundtrack like that. Except for Doves Cry, Baby, I'm a Star, and depend on my mood with Purple Rain. But you're gonna get Prince on that one. He can help them, but their problem is like just finale. They got to figure out how to finish stuff. His father finished those Super Bowls though. He won two in Denver. Kyle Shanahan had too many times. Only for the movie. Only for the movie. And I didn't really care for when I saw him do it live. Only for the movie. I wasn't the biggest Purple Rain fan of the soundtrack. Mm-mm. Does Cry knocked me out, and I love Baby I'm a Star. And I thought Purple Rain depends on my mood. But now, it was his whitewashed version of Thriller. Now, well, see, depending on what kind of fan you are. See, mine was 1999. That's the one for me as far as the album goes. That was the one. Purple Rain was like the big divider and the polarizing. I thought it was a whitewash record. He tried to sound too something. For me, out of those two, 1999. But Dangerous is a very strong album. But I'll give 1999 the edge because I think that DMSR alone, they need to get and stay healthy, but they need to know how to finish up games. He ain't gonna win no 2 Super Bowls. He can't even win one. I couldn't stand Around the World today. Thought it was garbage. It was a broke Purple Rain. He basically put too many records out. This is where he put too much stuff out. I liked Pop Life. Raspberry Beret was a great song. But a lot of that stuff, and I like the groove of America, even though it was like Baby I'm a Star. But again, he put too much stuff out. Dirty Mind is his most important album. Because without that album, he don't become Prince. That was the record that got him forward. Without that record, that was the one that solidified him. I'm not saying it's his best, but he needed that record. Oh, there's because I don't like a coach that didn't choke 2 Super Bowls and the NFC Championship game. Something wrong with me? I like what the Seattle Seahawks coach, their coach. I like him. What's his butt in Philadelphia? If he doesn't think too much, is doing pretty good. If he don't think too much, just don't be a meathead. He thinks too much. He got a good situation in Philly. Been to 2 Super Bowls. No, because they got to step their game up on defense. And he gonna go to the Giants and make them do something he didn't do in Baltimore, and they got more talent in Baltimore. Yeah, good luck with that. Be more credible though. Actually, when I get asked that question about head coaches, I think basically it's um um whatchamacallit in Kansas City is the only coach. Yeah, yeah. No, they lost to Philly. I don't know what you talking about. They lost to Philly. Dart can be decent. I think that um uh Kansas City got the best head coach. That's going easily. Hmm. Today, what's wrong with the Sixers? They don't have no identity, and they'll either have to trade him. They got to get rid of all the old, build around Tyrese Maxey, and get some new parts in. That's what they got to do. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's Nick Nurse can coach, but they're a discombobulated, dysfunctional team. So until they unload Joel Embiid, they won't do nothing. Missed the second round himself, and they got knocked out and got embarrassed. Paul George needs to be gone. I like Kelly. Uber, but he got to do better. And I think that Tyrese Maxey's ready to take over the team, but I just, you know, he's playing with Washington. The last I checked, but he don't fit. He was a better fit with the 49ers. I don't know why they let him go. Yes, because he's smart. This thing called intelligence. I'll say this. I'm not going to say he's better in terms of X's and O's, but he's smarter. Let me explain. There's a difference between smarter and better. Smarter is knowing how to utilize your team. When OG can score, Cat can score, Brunson can score, you don't build, and Hart went off last night. That's what I mean. Not where you just use one person and milk them until they can't milk no more. And Tibbs would go 6, 7 man rotation and burn through his main guy. Brown is smarter to utilize what he's got in front of him. Smarter coach. Maybe not. See, better and smart is two different things. Better, we can go wins and losses, but smarter means you know what you have. There's a difference. Yeah. Or I don't know. I didn't know he was playing it. I don't know. I know he was watching last year, but he didn't really fit though. How you doing? What's up? What's up, y'all? Been a long time. What's up? Well, no, he did. You know, he can coach. It's just that he's been doo-doo a lot of time. What he did last night, if you watched the game, Josh Hart had what? 20 something points, right? Brunson had 19-13. Cat had 18-13. OG had 18. You saw balance. You saw that everybody was accountable for a double-double, filling up stat sheets. Now where they sat there on ISO and let Jalen Brunson do all the work. Now where Jalen Brunson had to just dive and fall over and frail and then run the risk of pulling a hamstring and be out for, the stupid stuff that Tibbs was known for. Burning his own team out. Trying to play one-man hero ball as opposed to making everybody accountable. That's the difference. Mike Brown got all those guys. That's why this series is over. And Cleveland doesn't have a clue. Because they were okay, the Harden getting target, but guess what? Jalen Brunson wasn't even, he was like the second leading scorer. If New York can beat you with that, you're not going to be. But it's called knowing how to be a finisher. He's playing, but he's soft. He likes to keep his nails pretty. He got to get and score 10 more points than he does. He got to get to the free throw line. He got to will that team. He got to put that team on his hip, and he doesn't have that kind of mojo. He's too soft. He lighten the cakes. He'll settle for scoring a bunch of points, and then he just kind of stops and freezes, like he's playing Simon Says. Gotta go, Well, see, I've seen this story before. Tibbs is like Don Nelson, Mike D'Antoni, Buck Showalter in baseball, Marty Schottenheimer in football. Not as a scorer he wasn't, but smart decisions he was, but not as a scorer. He's not the scorer that Donovan Mitchell was. And I don't want to, because Donovan can play. It's just that he needs someone. He needs a big brother. They need a man on the team that knows how to man it and let him roll as a sidekick. I'm gonna tell you something. Put in with somebody who can run the team. Donovan Mitchell gonna be the scariest, almost the scariest second option you've ever seen if the right situation occurred. Put it to you like this: let Donovan play like with somebody like even Anthony Edwards. They will win a game. They better win. They got no choice. If they lose, they butt's done. They got no choice. But the problem is that they got exposed. They choked one game, and then the next game, the main guy wasn't the guy that beat their behind up. So I don't know what they're gonna do. Because when a team beats you multiple ways already, you're usually gonna get beat. Just saying. Okay. I'm gonna give it a go in just a minute. I will be back. I will be back in a couple of days. Appreciate everybody that came through too. Great to see a lot of folks coming through. This was a real live one. They can make adjustments, but their biggest problem will be how they finish up. They can't finish. They got to maintain leads. They don't play smart. Kenny Atkinson is getting out coached, and he is not making adjustments. But he's got to get more out of Schroeder. Max Strauss got to score more. They got to get others involved. Dennis Schroeder's got to score 10. Jared Allen, I'd push him for 20. Donovan Mitchell, I push him for 30, 35. James Harden, whatever you give. Mobley too. That's all I'm going to say. If they don't get Donovan Mitchell pushing towards 30, 35, they don't win. He can't play a nice, cute 25 and 6 game and be happy and score 18, 19 in the first half and just throw a couple points here and there afterwards. You got to play 4 quarters. That's his problem. They don't have an alpha. That's their problem. They're hoping that they can beat people just on. So I will beat Charles. I'm here on Sunday. So if you come around this time, I'll be on. If you on, come on through. Because I was on for a couple of hours. But I definitely glad to have you on. It's glad to see you. And if you reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram or something, you see me on there, link me up as a friend. I'll link you. I'll hook you on. So, but I'm glad that you came through. Didn't Michael Jackson film hurt? Yeah, it got reviews. Well, listen, the fans spoke, and Rotten Tomatoes went from a 21 to a 37. So the fans spoke loud and clear. They were in for the smear campaign, and then that film took off, and now they all jumping on the wagon. They jumping on the wagon. They jumping all on the wagon. Bernie. Because Darty didn't win. If Brad Darty had won, he was a precursor to Tim Duncan. Bernie, because Cleveland was close with football. But if you ask me, out of those two, it's Bernie. If you ask me in general, it's Jim Brown and LeBron, and I'm taking Jim Brown. Yeah, well, it's a strong product. And it's also a reflection that there are fans and then there's untapped market. And it also goes to show that, the right kind of film with the right kind of artistry is going to work. But everybody can't pull it off. That's the rude awakening that a lot of people are going to see, you know. And they need to have more black based films too, like Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye. They need to have that. I think that's what's going to get lost. They're going to pick more white ones. And I'm telling you, it ain't going to be like what you think. You got to have something that people can relate to and bump to, and the call and demand. But the Michael film is making people step their game up. It's, you know, he didn't put a lot of people's eyeballs like, wow, they didn't see that coming. Got to have the right product. Got to have the right product. But proof's in the pudding, though. See, so you know, got to have a brand and what people care for, and then the thing is, the timing was perfect. Everything worked out for this Michael movie. So I don't think no one's gonna play him, and some most of the fans are gonna say Purple Rain. The problem with the Prince film is his estate is more guard on him than Michael Jackson's is. They are slow on the roll. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. They're inept. Prince had more catalog sitting in there than Michael Jackson, but Michael Jackson had figured out they didn't. Michael Jackson's state that made it look like, I mean, it just not. It's a matter of who's running stuff. Prince's thing was about putting all the music he wanted to put out, all you can eat. They dropped the ball on a lot of stuff with him. And the thing is, Michael Jackson in a blowout. Michael Jordan is not as big as Michael Jackson. He's big in terms of respect of his athleticism, but that only transcends but so much. It's not the same as Michael Jackson. In the States to an extent, but even now that's being debated, but not now. Michael Jackson mops the floor on Jordan in terms of that alone. Because this is the thing where you can't really compare. You got some turkeys out here who actually think LeBron James belongs in the same conversation with Jordan. After this Michael movie, ain't nobody talking about Beyonce, Usher, Chris Brown, Bruno Mars, The Weeknd, whoever you want to mention, Taylor Swift in the same conversation with Michael Jackson. I think you kind of seen that resolve into itself. I think you answered your own question. Michael Jackson. Because Michael Jordan is so guarded and so many people, there's only like some people liked him, some people didn't. And his vibe and aura can run people different ways. I just don't. I think that he kind of. I don't know. I think Michael Jackson just had a better vibe for the most part. So I'd say Jackson on that one. I never got asked that question before, but I would say Jackson. Yeah, because Michael Jordan is competitive, and he talk about them. Jackson was very competitive, in to a fault. However, he showed a human side. Jordan mocked a lot of people, and he was a bit much to deal with. They both were. So you can't you what's that got to do with what you're saying? I'm telling you, I'm answering this question. Now, just in a general consensus, Michael Jackson just seemed like more cooler cat. Jordan, you gotta get in that circle and all this and all that. Don't get it twisted. They both could be cold as ice. Cause mostly when cats get to that level, they ain't nothing nice. Like what you see ain't what you really know. Cause you know. Well, Jordan was a very the Tommy Davidson video that's out right now is about them when they were gambling, and Jordan was competitive, yo. Jordan is one of those cats that you think he made a deal with somebody because he's extremist. Because I'm telling you, play cards, everything he did, he was trying to take you out. So okay, I'm gonna go in about 3 minutes. I got 3 more minutes before I go. So like I said before, and I just say Michael because of the way Michael, but but I just stick to the main question about which one would be bigger. It would be Jackson, not over Jack Johnson, and not over George Foreman. And Tyson would tell you to a fault, not over Sonny Liston. I'm getting ready to get off. You came on kind of late. I'll be back on in a couple of days. Tyson would be like top 5 or 6 as far as brawlers, but when you say Panther, there were some guys that could put paws on you. Max Muhammad, Muhammad, Muhammad. Yeah, I'm cool. I just wish you had to come on sooner because I've been on for like a couple hours, and I got to get out and get some sun in just a little bit. I'll stay on for about 5 more minutes. I'll give you 5 more minutes. Yeah, everything is cool. We just talking about hoops and talking about Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, and popularity and boxing, and they just get into a lot of different topics. It's what I call like a random. So yeah, everything is cool. It's a good day so far. So I gotta get on out in a little bit, but I'm coming back on Sunday. They got a team that can go. They just got to go to Cleveland and finish business. That's all. I think they're gonna finish this series off pretty quick though, because Cleveland ain't got the answer for them, and they're basically beating them with different looks. And it's almost like they're playing them even, and they know they can turn up another gear. That's what they did the last 2 games. They just switched the gear. A better soul voice. Make a case for Otis Redding. Make a case for Bobby Womack. You can make a case. Depends on what your idea of a better soul voice is. You can say Solomon Burke if you want to. Depends on what you want. Had a great time on here today. Appreciate everyone that came through. Yeah, I love the poet. Womack's a bad dude. But Eddie Levert is high on my list though. So, high on my list. Yeah. Depends on what again, depends on what you want. You could say Levi Stubbs. It's many great voices I like. Levi Stubbs of the Four Tops you can make a case for. You know. Kendrick's Ruffin. There's a lot. I wouldn't say there's one. That's the thing about it. Music is everything is subjective. But I'll say this though, who stands out. I like Tyrone Davis, but I wouldn't put him over Eddie Levert. But I like his voice though. He was a bad dude. And that's that Geechee soul too. I'd say Music on My Mind. Music on My Mind and Talking Book is one of I love that. That those where you go. Mary Was a Superwoman from Music on My Mind. That'll put something on your mind when you go up there. Library was bad because that's where Eminem got that sample from. Had some cold stuff on his music. Had that cold break on his music too. Underappreciated cat. I think orientation is what worked against the cat. Because if we just talking about the music, he has some stuff with him. But again, came out in an era too where just talking about the music, highly competitive. Highly competitive. Again, people don't understand the 70s era. Man, there are people that if they came out today, but they came out then and it was tough. I'll be back on Sunday, and I will send you a live on when I'm on. So be ready for me on Sunday. We're going to do this again. So stay safe, stay blessed. Appreciate everybody that came through. Thank you always for the support. And I will check you out